Hey guys, Rick from Black Rose Spirited. In case you don't know me, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about all living things having spirit or spirit energy. A couple of days ago, a little story for you. A couple of days ago, our spiny leaf insect decided to drop down to the cage and sit on the bottom of the cage. And usually they do that when they're about to die. So we thought, okay, it won't be too long. Anyway, day passed and we thought, yep, she's definitely gone now. There was no movement. Gave her a little bit of a prod and sort of tried to pick her up a little bit, and she still had a little bit of movement in her legs and whatever, so I popped her back down on the bottom of the thing. And over the next couple of days we actually did the same thing. She hadn't really moved all that much. And last night we thought, yeah, she's really on her last legs now. There was hardly any movement at all. We thought by the morning she'd be gone. So this morning when I got up, I went to check her and there was no movement at all. So I picked her up and cupped her in my hand. And all of a sudden she started arching up and she started trying to push out what must have been her last egg that she had. And Beth and I sort of sat there and there was no other movement in her legs or antenna or her head or anything. And we just quietly sort of sat there and said, you can go, thanks for being with us, but it's time for you to go now. You're on your last little bit of energy and you can go. And as I held her in my hand for a little while, she just arched up a little bit and then all of a sudden she went dormant. And I cut my hand over her, just like that, because I had her in my hand here, and I cut my hand over her and just gave her a little bit of thanks, put my energy towards her, thanking her for being with us, and giving her a little bit of love, and telling her, as Beth was, that she can now let go. It's time for her to let go. And as I was holding my hand above her, I felt a tingling just in the palm of my hand, and I thought, that's her energy. That's her energy leaving her body and going through my hand, and that's the tingling that I felt. And I said to Beth, she's gone. This is it. She's gone. And I removed my hand and she just lay there still, and that was it. She was gone. So that was really interesting, actually feeling a spirit energy leave the body of an insect. And it reminded me of quite a few different things. Our beautiful cruiser, when he passed away, he hung on and hung on and hung on, and it was like he just did not want to go. And it come to the final time when we were sitting with him, and we were both saying, and Beth was patting him and saying, you can let go now, it's time to let go, it's time to let go. And finally, he did let go. But it's like and I'm sure yourself, if you've had pets, you may have sat with pets, and you'll sit there with them and give them love and give them pats and sort of say, yes, you can go now, it's time to go. And there's a lot of sadness involved in losing a pet and all that sort of stuff. But there comes that moment when you feel that the energy is gone from your pet. And that's what we felt with the stick insect, and that's what we felt with Cruiser. And sometimes when you are sitting with a loved one who is passing away, and I'm sure many of you have done exactly that, you feel there is that moment when that is it. There is nothing left. It's gone, and you feel like there's an energy presence that has just gone and just lifted. And that goes for all living things, you know, all living things. If you're sitting with something that is dying, you can feel that moment when an energy lifts and energy separates from the body of the living thing, whether it be an insect or whether it be a dog or a cat or a living person. Now, I'm sure you've experienced the same sort of thing. But it's a curious moment, don't you think, when you actually, it's like releasing that last breath. You kind of feel that, and you feel there is nothing left, and you feel that after a short time that there's an energy that has lifted from the living thing. And that tingling in the hand was just that sensation of the spirit that I felt leaving the body of the stick insect of all things and passing through my hand and lifting up, and it gave me that tingling in the hand. So I'm sure you've experienced that, a similar type of thing, or you know, the times that you've sat with a pet or whatever and felt that moment when a spirit has lifted, and felt when that moment has gone. So in comments, if you'd like to add some of your stories, I'd really appreciate it. It's just an interesting phenomenon. It's an interesting moment, and it does show that all living things have an energy that leave their body at the moment of death, or just shortly after the moment that the body actually ceases. There is a really interesting video that was circulating a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you can find it. It's not for the squeamish, but it was to do with somebody had set up a camera in an attic. There goes an ambulance. There's another death story for us. Another spooky story perhaps to come. But yeah, there was this video circulating a couple of years ago that was circulating, and definitely not for the squeamish. And I don't know if you can find it still on Facebook if you want to find, or not on Facebook, on YouTube if you want to find it. But it was to do with somebody had set up a camera in an attic where they'd set up a mouse trap, and I guess they wanted to see how many mice were running around in the attic. They must have had a mice problem or something like that. Anyway, in the video you actually see the mouse coming to the trap snapping shut, therefore it's not for the squeamish, and you see the mouse struggling in its death throes and finally dying. But after it went absolutely still, after it was probably only around about 30 seconds or so, you could actually see what looked like a bright orb shooting out of the mouse itself, and that is the spirit energy leaving the mouse. And it's quite an extraordinary bit of footage. It's very real footage. It's not doctored in any way. And yeah, it was just an extraordinary bit of footage that if you want to try to find it on YouTube, I don't know what you'd punch in to try and find it. But it's an extraordinary thing to actually be able to see an energy moving out of you know, a mouse's dead body. Now, the first time I actually saw a spirit energy leaving a human body was when I started working in my very, very early days in an elderly nursing home, and I was employed as a cleaner, orderly type of thing, and I was asked to go in and clean this room, and it was a 4-bed room, but there was only one lady in the room, and she had the curtains across it. And the nurse said to me, oh, you know, we need a couple of things done in the room. the lady is you know, passing away, so just, you know, be a little bit quiet. So I said, well, I could come back later, you know, no dramas. And she said, no, she'll be a couple of days yet. And I said, all right then. So I went into the room and I began doing what I needed to do. And after, I don't know, probably 5-10 minutes of working away at what I was doing, I got this strange feeling that I should look in behind the curtain. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, because the sensation was very strong and it was just niggling at me. So I very quietly walked up to the curtain and just opened it up a tiny bit so that I could see in. And I saw the lady laying on the bed, elderly lady, and I just was mesmerised just watching her for, I really don't know how long. It was probably only a minute or two or something. And then all of a sudden I saw a very fine mist rise up from the body and move up towards, very slowly move up towards the ceiling, and then it just dispersed, you know, just disappeared. And that was the first time I actually saw a human spirit leaving a body. A very curious thing to see. I have seen that a couple more times, and that's while sitting with family during their time of passing. But it's a very, very interesting thing to see. And as I was saying before, it's like with all things living, there is a spirit, there is an energy that exists with the body. And when the body ceases to exist, the spirit leaves the body. And this happens obviously with humans, with animals, with your pets, and even with the stick insect this morning. You could feel that energy, even though I couldn't see it. I could feel a tingling in the hand where the energy was just raising up after we'd said, you can go, you can leave, it's time to go. And it's curious because when you're actually talking to a stick insect, of all things, it's not a stupid thing, you know. It really isn't. You do the same thing with your pets, you do the same thing with your loved ones, and it's just giving a thanks, it's giving a blessings for the time that they have spent with you. Yeah, it was just a really curious thing, feeling that energy, and that prompted me to actually do this little video blog. And you know, now I'm going to prompt you to, in your comments, has there been any times when you have been with a loved one or a pet or an animal of some sort, where you've sat with them in their last moments and felt that last moment where they have ceased to exist, and felt an energy has lifted from their body, whether it be a spirit, a soul, whatever you want to call it? Have you ever felt that? And what were your experiences? Leave us some information in the comments, and we greatly appreciate it. Alrighty, here's a little bit of food for you. Cheers. Talk to you soon. Bye.